up, guys, and welcome back to my channel. In our first news, Islam Makhachev has officially climbed to the very top of the UFC, taking over the #1 spot in the pound-for-pound rankings after his dominant win over JDM this past weekend. The performance didn't just secure another defense, it pushed him past Ilya, who had been holding that position after his rise through the featherweight division. Islam's consistency, control, and ability to shut down elite opponents have now placed him at the absolute peak of the sport, and fans have been debating whether anyone in the UFC can realistically challenge his spot anytime soon. With that conversation heating up, Bryce Mitchell jumped in and gave his own wild take on the pound-for-pound debate. When he was asked who he personally sees as the best fighter in the world right now, he didn't hesitate for even a second. He said, "Me." And he doubled down on it with his usual unfiltered energy. Bryce explained that, to him, pound for pound means imagining a world without weight classes, without limits, and without rules. He joked that if that's the case, then he could grab a gun and take out everyone in the woods. He said that if pound for pound means facing heavyweights, then you have to expand what's allowed in the fight. And since he can shoot too, he believes that makes him the true pound for pound best. It was classic Bryce. Chaotic, funny, a little wild, and definitely memorable. And before we continue, make sure to leave a like on the video and subscribe to help support the channel. Moving on to another news, Ian Gary made it clear that if he gets past Belal Muhammad this weekend, he believes he becomes absolutely undeniable for a welterweight title shot. He was asked about the current title picture, especially after he posted his reaction video and correctly predicted how some of the recent fights would play out. Gary said calling the left-hand sequence wasn't luck, it was just understanding the game. But as for pressure, he insisted there's none. He said that once the entire landscape was laid out, everything became obvious. Patrick was set to fight Leon, Brady Morales had his matchup, Islam faced JDM, and now he faces Belal. That meant the 8 best welterweights on the planet were all competing within a 7-day stretch. Gary explained that once the champion was decided, the rest of the picture became simple. For him, nothing matters for the other 6 contenders until he steps into the cage. He said he's already proven himself by beating Patches, and now the only thing left is to go out on Saturday night and knock out Muhammad. If he does that, he believes there's no argument left, no debate, no hesitation about who deserves the next shot. In his words, he becomes the absolute #1 in the world and next in line, period. He emphasized that it's not about pressure, but opportunity. Gary said this is exactly the kind of moment every fighter dreams of. Everything is aligned, the division is moving, and he's right in the center of it. As long as he performs the way he knows he can, the title shot is his. He believes his skills, timing, and momentum make the statement for him, and beating Belal Muhammad in decisive fashion will be the final piece that guarantees his place as the next welterweight title challenger. Moving on to another news, Daniel Cormier and Chael Sonnen opened up about how they genuinely felt bad for JDM during his fight with Islam Makhachev. Both of them said that watching the pain on JDM's face was tough, and it wasn't just a moment or two. From the early exchanges to the later rounds, there was a constant grimace, a look that clearly said, "I'm hurt." Cormier explained that something about that expression hit him differently. It wasn't only the fighter in him reacting, and it wasn't even the analyst. It was the father in him. He said that, as a father, he felt this strong instinct to step in, almost wanting to walk over and check on the young man, to ask, "Are you okay? Do we need to get you something, young man?" He felt that JDM wasn't just trying to fight through technique or fatigue. He looked like someone genuinely dealing with real pain. Chael continued the same sentiment, saying he had to be completely honest about how the fight made him feel. As he watched JDM struggle, he felt a wave of sadness for him. He said that JDM looked hurt in a way that went beyond normal fight damage, and there was a sense of defeat and frustration on his face that was hard to watch. Sonnen described JDM as looking dejected, like someone who had come in prepared for everything, but was suddenly faced with a level of pressure and control he couldn't break out of. He noted that the emotional weight on JDM seemed just as heavy as the physical damage. To both Cormier and Sonnen, it was one of those rare moments where analysts, fans, and even former fighters felt a deep sense of empathy for someone in the cage, simply because the struggle was written all over his face. Moving on to another news, Kamaru Usman shared his reaction to seeing Leon Edwards get knocked out by Carlos Prates over the weekend, and he didn't sugarcoat anything. Usman said moments like this are a reminder of how unforgiving this sport really is. He talked with Henry about how wild the journey has been for Leon, and they started running through the timeline of everything that has happened to him inside the cage. Usman mentioned how Jorge Masvidal left Leon laid out on a stretcher in one of the most brutal knockouts of that era, and how bad that moment looked for him. Then, he brought up his own famous head kick loss to Leon, the one heard around the world, the moment that completely flipped the division. And now, in another shocking turn, Leon ended up on the wrong side of a massive shot from Carlos Prates. Usman said that when he watched the replay, the thing that stood out to him was how Leon's eyes rolled back as he went down. He described it as one of those moments that instantly tells you how real the damage is. It wasn't just a flash knockdown. It was the kind of impact that changes everything. Usman added that sometimes you don't even see where the danger truly is until it's already too late. Maybe Leon didn't catch the angle. Maybe he didn't react in time. But eventually, everyone gets caught by somebody. And when it happens, it sucks. Usman said that's the nature of the fight game. You never know when your moment ends, and you never know when someone else's moment begins. One perfect shot can erase years of momentum. That unpredictability is what makes this sport brutal, exciting, and completely unforgiving. Moving on to another news, Sean O'Malley shared his thoughts on Khabib retiring early and what that decision might have cost him in terms of legacy. Sean believes that if Khabib had stayed active, he could have gone on to accomplish everything Islam has achieved and possibly even more. He said Khabib must feel a lot of satisfaction watching his pupil rise to greatness. But he also wonders if there's a part of Khabib that questions whether he reached his full potential. Seen explained that stepping away early removes Khabib from certain all-time conversations, especially at lightweight, because he never tested himself in multiple divisions the way he could have. He said Khabib absolutely had the ability to move up to 170 and dominate there as well. Sean talked about how the fear of not reaching his full potential is something he personally thinks about constantly. He said that ages 30 to 35 are the prime years, the stretch where a fighter has to push the hardest and take advantage of every opportunity. He mentioned that he feels the pressure to fight, improve, and chase greatness because he never wants to look back and wonder if he left something on the table. That's why he's curious if Khabib ever thinks, I still had more in the tank, or if he ever reflects on those lost competitive years. Sean added that coaching is something you can do forever, but fighting is a window that closes fast. He also talked about Islam and how incredibly skilled he is, saying Islam is smart enough to know he could have success even at middleweight. Sean genuinely believes Islam could beat most of the guys at 185, simply because of how complete and dominant his skill set is. Then he brought up Khamzat, describing him as just a bigger, more powerful version of Islam, and said that matchup would be something special. A grappling battle between Islam and Khamzat, in Sean's view, would be insane to watch. He said it would be one of those rare stylistic clashes that fans would love, a pure technical war between two of the most suffocating grapplers in the sport. Moving on to another news, Matt Brown broke down exactly why he felt JDM's corner did a terrible job at UFC 322, and he didn't hold back at all. During the fight, he posted on X saying, "Terrible cornering from JDM's side." And later, on the Fighter vs. the Writer podcast, he expanded on those thoughts. Brown said it seemed really odd to him that the coaches kept trying to fire JDM up instead of giving him something useful. He explained that JDM could be as fired up as he wanted, but if he didn't start doing something different, nothing was going to change. According to Brown, JDM was already fighting his heart out. He was grimacing the entire time, squeezing through positions, battling submissions, and giving every ounce of effort he had. Telling him to push harder wasn't helping at all. If anything, Brown said they should have told him to relax a little, to breathe, and to stay focused in the moment. He went on to explain that good cornering is about keeping a fighter present. Too many fighters, and even coaches, get caught thinking about the previous round instead of what's happening right now. He compared it to golf, saying you can't worry about where the ball landed on your last shot. You have to think about where you're hitting next, how you're setting up the next move. If you sit there dwelling on the last mistake, you're mentally defeating yourself before you even take the next swing. Brown said he would have loved to hear something simple and technical from JDM's coaches, like sprawl your legs back when he shoots, stay heavy, keep your hips low. Even if that advice wouldn't have changed the outcome, at least it would have been direction that matched the level of the moment. Brown also pointed out how different the energy felt when Craig Jones stepped into the corner. He said that, earlier in the fight, Craig came in between rounds and gave JDM real, actionable advice. Later on, another coach took over, and that's when everything drifted back into vague motivational shouting. Brown said it would actually be interesting to hear Craig's thoughts on that contrast and what he made of the other coach's approach. He emphasized that he wasn't trying to attack anyone personally because it's easy to judge people who can't defend themselves in the moment. Instead, he said he genuinely wanted to hear what their corner strategy was, what they were aiming for, and what they were trying to communicate. But from his perspective, in real time, it was driving him crazy. He said that this simply isn't how you corner a guy at the highest level, especially when he's in a championship fight against someone who might already be one of the greatest of all time. Moving on to another news. At UFC 322, Carlos Prates stunned the entire arena when he knocked out Leon Edwards in the first round. The finish was clean, explosive, and completely unexpected. And today, Prates took things even further by calling out Islam Makhachev directly. He said he's the easiest possible fight for Islam because, in his words, Kamaru Usman is already a fantastic wrestler and extremely difficult to take down. While he, Prates, gets taken down more than anyone, he said, "Come fight me. It will be easy for you." It was a bold and confident callout, especially coming right after a massive win over a former champion. In the lead-up to UFC 322, Islam and Prates had a few friendly exchanges backstage. Islam even joked around with him, sharing a moment over Nutella cake, showing mutual respect between the two. But Islam later admitted he was genuinely surprised by the way Prates knocked out Leon, especially considering Prates' lifestyle and how much he smokes. Islam said it shocked him to see someone who smokes all day go out there and put away a former champion with such a clean, powerful knockout. He said he beat a former champion, like clear knockout. They're both very good, very tough, young, and I'm surprised how these guys who smoke all day beat the former champion. It was Islam acknowledging both Prates' talent and the unexpected nature of the performance. Prates, meanwhile, seems fully aware of the momentum he's carrying. His callout wasn't angry or disrespectful. It was delivered with confidence and a bit of humor, almost inviting Islam to take what he's calling an easy matchup. But behind that lighthearted tone, it's clear he wants the biggest fight of his career, and he's willing to challenge one of the pound-for-pound best to get it. The knockout, the callout, and the reaction from Islam all combined to make this one of the more surprising and entertaining storylines coming out of UFC 322. Moving on to another news. Paddy Pimblett had some sharp words for Justin Gaethje, saying the lightweight veteran has been acting like a proper. Paddy explained that Gaethje's recent comments about retiring if he doesn't get the next lightweight title shot sounded entitled to him. He said he's always respected Justin because he's a legend of the sport, but the interviews Gaethje has been doing lately make him look like he believes the UFC owes him something. According to Paddy, no one in this game is owed anything. You earn your opportunities by winning fights, not by demanding them. Paddy pointed out that in his own last win, he defeated a higher-ranked opponent and did it in a more dominant fashion than Gaethje did in his most recent fight. So even though he respects Justin and everything he's done over the years, he still feels that Gaethje can't just declare he deserves the next shot at the belt. He also mentioned Arman, noting that Arman hasn't fought in around 18 months, which creates even more uncertainty in the division. All of this, Paddy says, makes the title picture more complicated, but it doesn't change the principle. Nobody gets to skip the line just because they want to. Paddy then shifted to another topic, discussing the possibility of fighting Ilya next. He said there's already a built-in storyline between them, one that fans know well. In Paddy's words, it actually works out better for him that Ilya won the belt. Even though he doesn't like him and would prefer that Ilya not become a two-division champion, it still creates a bigger opportunity for Paddy. He explained that if Charles had won, the path to the title would have been different, and he probably would have had to face another opponent before earning his shot. But with Ilya holding the belt, everything makes sense. Every narrative, every grudge, every moment is already set up. Paddy said he doesn't understand why the fight hasn't been announced yet, or why the contract hasn't been signed. In his eyes, everything is ready to go, and it should already be in motion. He ended by saying, "We'll see how things unfold in the next few weeks," but he believes the matchup is inevitable. Moving on to another news, Ali Abdelaziz revealed that the long-term plan was always for Khabib to eventually move up to welterweight, but his close friendship with Kamaru Usman stopped that idea from ever becoming reality. Ali said that, in the back of his mind, the goal was for Khabib to test himself at 170, especially as he continued to dominate lightweight. But at the time, Kamaru was the champion, and Khabib simply wasn't the type of guy to fight a close friend. Ali explained that Khabib is built differently, and loyalty means more to him than chasing belts or adding divisions to his resume. He then compared that situation to Islam's career path. Ali said Islam was supposed to fight Bal at one point, but he didn't want to take that opportunity away from someone he trained with and respected. Eventually, Bal lost to JDM, which opened the door even more for Islam's rise. And Ali said Islam was ready the entire time. He talked about how strong, dominant, and naturally big Islam is, emphasizing that he could compete at welterweight without any problems. According to Ali, both Islam and Khabib had the size and skill to move up, but relationships inside the gym played a big role in how their careers unfolded.